Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook and the CEO now of Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, has written a letter to the House Judiciary Committee about what it was like running the company during the COVID pandemic and the pressure they got from the Biden administration to censor speech. And this is the letter. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I will read a couple sentences that are making the news right now, okay? In 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down, and we take our decisions, or we own our decisions, including COVID-19 related changes made to our enforcement in the wake of this pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. So, Bill, first question for you. What do you think about this letter? Why now? We're coming up on an election. I mean, why now? Why is he writing this? Was he somebody holding him by the scruff of his neck? Is this coming from a genuine place in his heart? What's your thought?
Nothing is ever coming from Mark Zuckerberg's heart. Let's just be honest about that, first and foremost. I think this is a bad deal gone wrong. I firmly believe that the Biden-Harris administration made certain concessions and certain agreements with social media companies, whether it's Twitter, X, whatever, Facebook, Meta, and they couldn't do TikTok. Okay, they couldn't stop TikTok because TikTok is not under, an American flag. So I feel personally that the Biden-Harris administration made a bunch of promises that now they're refusing to keep. And Zuckerberg puts this out that, we caved and we bent the knee because, for whatever reason, and we censored a lot of stuff, and now they're backpedaling. And the here's the problem I have with this. It's not that Zuckerberg sent this letter and it's been made public. My problem with this is, why is it not blown up more? Why is this not like the lead story for every news organization? Because when Facebook was blocking stuff and there was this whole thing where, it's Russian misinformation and it's bots and everything else, and don't trust it. That would be your lead on ABC News back in 2020 or 2021. Okay. But now, why is this not bigger? Why is this not blowing up? I will tell you, because it's the same reason that Kamala Harris has agreed now. This has happened earlier today or yesterday to do her first sit-down interview with CNN, because the mainstream media is protecting them. It's just that simple. And I don't understand why we're letting them get away with it. Stop with all the BS. Just stop supporting these platforms.
And Bill,
I mean, seriously.
Bill gets it all out of his system at the beginning of the show. So I'm going to show you my opinion in a second. Actually, I have quite a bit to show you. Matt Taibbi's written about it. As Bill mentioned, though, some people that you would expect to, if this was maybe something that politically were slanted in opposite direction, you'd see CNN taking up this and maybe like very concerned about it. But, it really has been kind of the predictable, like Washington Post and, the predictable places are covering it. But we'll talk about the media response to this in just a second. The Wellness Company is now a sponsor of the show. If you're somebody who has heard of the Wellness Company, then great. If you haven't, basically, the Wellness Company developed during the COVID era to give people access to some of the most censored medications, the ones that doctors can't get pharmacies to fill. So as we're seeing the world get more unpredictable, I'm sorry, the world's getting more unpredictable and you're not sure what's going to happen when you go to the doctor's office, you can go to my new website, twc.health/Alison, and use promo code Alison to save $30 plus free shipping. There is actually a bird flu summit coming up in October. Did you know that? It is reminiscent of Event 201, the one that foreshadowed the COVID pandemic. And the first topic on the agenda is actually mass fatality management planning. So if you're paying attention to any of that, which I just found out about, then this might be something that you'll be interested in. The wellness company has in a medical emergency kit, stuff that I can't say on YouTube, antibiotics like amoxicillin and a Z-Pack. Dr. Peter McCullough has been on the show before, sits on the board. If you're interested in this, again, you go to twc.health/Alison and use promo code Alison. You'll save $30. You get free shipping. You don't have to worry about emergency waiting rooms. You don't have to worry about whether your doctor is politically inclined one way or the other. It's an opportunity to support the show as well. So again, twc.health/Alison, use promo code Alison and save $30. Okay. Bill, so going back to what I wanted to talk about earlier, I was thinking when I originally saw all of this that there had to have been like something else that was going on behind the scenes, that there was, I don't know, like some kind of political deal or something like that. Matt Taibbi's idea about all of this is that the authorities brought them on themselves. This is what he wrote. Zuckerberg defies the Borg. And
for those
yeah.
of you that don't know, that is a Star Trek reference. The Borg, the cyborg, that are the cyborg people that are trying to take over the universe. So that's that reference. If you know, you know. If you don't, it's not for you to know. Go ahead.
And there's Mark. He just celebrated his 40th birthday, by the way. I'm older than he is. That makes me feel so old. Anyway, he has some of the quotes from the letter that I read, talks about the Hunter Biden laptop stuff. And he says, okay, well, I get to all of it because I have to type in my email and everything. But he basically says it's a stiff poke in the eye to authorities who brought this on themselves. Meaning that, that he has come to this decision. I think he takes the decision to speak up more. He takes it at face value, I guess, more at face value. Obviously, Matt Taibbi covered the Twitter files where they were getting released information from Elon Musk about pressure against Twitter to take down speech. And, Matt looks at this like that. Look, if you didn't want Facebook's CEO to finally kind of write this letter and make you guys look terrible, then you shouldn't have done all this stuff, because you basically put yourself in the position to now become public enemy number one among people who care about speech. But the reality is, like, I don't know if that many people who are paying attention to any of this and have not already figured this out over the last few years will really care about this. And I don't know if anyone who hasn't already been concerned about the government's relationship with the tech companies. If you're not already there, I don't know if you care about what Zuckerberg is saying in this particular situation. And I tend to be a little bit more hesitant than Matt about like you, Bill, about the intentions that Zuckerberg had in writing that letter. I mean, you have to ask yourself this question when anybody tells you they're going to do anything, okay, instead of just doing it. On one hand, he could just change the policy at Facebook and Instagram, and that could just be it. You just change the policy and you just don't do it anymore.
Right.
You could also just put out a public statement on Facebook or Twitter or something like that. You could put out a statement that says, hey, you know what? Shouldn't have done this. But writing a letter to the House Judiciary Committee, this is another level of formality that I find interesting. And I do question the motives behind it too. I'm not really quite sure. He just posted a picture of himself with Bill Gates for his birthday party. So do not think that Mark Zuckerberg is turning sides. He's not turning sides. He's not. No. He's still best friends with Bill Gates, dude. He's not.
There's
So
only,
I
when
don't
it
know.
comes to big tech, there's only one side, and that's their side. Okay, it's Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Bill Gates. Those are the only sides that they care about. So uh, let's not kid ourselves here. But I will also say that there is, and I want to say this for the subscribers only, because we have some amazing friends who talked about this in probably the weakest form. And I say friends loosely, in the media who talk about this. It's just amazing to me how this has just not been a bigger story. Why is nobody like, hey, Paul Ducey, or the dude, the White House press corps member from Fox News? Why is he not hammering Karine Jean-Pierre, or whatever her name is? Why is he not hammering her in a press conference about this? And will CNN, who got this exclusive first interview with Kamala Harris, will they ask her about it? Of course they won't. I mean, it's not even slow pitch softball; it's slow pitch beach ball at this point. But it just amazes me, as why is this not a bigger issue? This is your rights. This is, you know, Facebook being a public forum, a town square that's getting censored and admitted, hey, we caved. What the hell, man?
Well, what I find so interesting is the evolution of what they're saying publicly about all of this, because remember, at first they totally denied any of this kind of stuff was happening at all. Then it was like, we're doing this to keep people safe. And now all of a sudden, some of them are admitting that they did it just because the government was telling them they had to. I mean, can you
Can I
imagine?
can I drop in on that
Yeah.
real quick, Allie? I will say, so I know you just did a Google search for that, and the fact that one of the top Google searches is BBC, that impresses. I'm kind of shocked and impressed with that one. That the BBC
Yeah.
one of their top stories is that. So
Well,
I'm
yeah,
impressed.
there are some big names, like Reuters covered it,
Mhm.
and there the articles are actually that did cover it were not terrible. Like, let's just take a look at the Reuters article. Zuckerberg says Biden administration pressured Meta to censor COVID-19 content. Now, um, some of the ones that are already like way past this kind of statement that the government pressured him, their headlines are like, he regrets bowing to the pressure. So
Exactly.
already accepting that, like, yes, we believe that censorship happened, and now the real story is that Zuckerberg regrets it. Articles like the AP are putting together are still acting like the big headline here is that he's saying the Biden administration pressured him. For us, this is not the big headline. The big headline is that he regrets it, allegedly, that he
Mhm.
regrets it, because the whole idea of Biden pressuring Meta, I mean, this is such old news. This would not be a headline on the Alison Morrow show, right? Nobody would watch this. We've been talking about this for like 3 years, 4 years.
Right.
But that's the biggest difference, I think. And, so they talk about the letter, and in July 2021, President Joe Biden and Democrats at social media platforms like Facebook are killing people for allowing misinformation about coronavirus vaccines to be posted on its platform. They talk about that. Facebook said at the time it was taking aggressive steps to fight misinformation. And the Biden administration ultimately eased up on its criticism, even as vaccine lies continue to spread on social media. And so they have sentences like that where, what are you talking? What lies exactly? I mean, a lot of the lies were the ones pushed by the government themselves, not some of the truth that was being censored on platforms like on my show, for instance, when doctors would come on and talk about what you should know, and be a little bit more informed about the decision, especially as businesses were pressuring people to either do this or keep their jobs. So they still take the uh, party line, I guess, when it comes to like the mainstream media and government narrative about it. So depending on the article you read, you're gonna get like, oh, look, Zuckerberg says they pressured him, but there was still a real problem with misinformation online, and they, kind of keep it like that. And then if you read some of the outlets like Fox News Channel, for instance, they'll go into it and be more critical of the Biden administration. But I don't know. I find it really fascinating, the timing. I'm not really quite sure what to make of that. Bill. And here's a Politico article about it too. A little bit more critical than Reuters, but still pretty mainstream. I don't know. I don't know what would have, other than the fact that we're coming up on an election, or that, somebody behind the scenes was like, send it now. Or maybe he just on his birthday, he was like, you know what? I'm turning 40. I want to do something big. I'm going to send a letter to the House. I don't know. I don't know.
I stand by what I said. I think that the Biden-Harris administration made deals with some of these social media tycoons, companies, whatever, and has not followed up on it. I mean, we've been operating now without a president of the United States for, what is it, a month and a half, and we're doing fine. So, but the fact that now we're getting stuck with a candidate who did not have to win any primaries, did not have to face any debates or anything like that, and then all of a sudden, you know, there's these two big, huge news stories, and nobody's being press them on this. I don't understand. And I had this conversation the other day, Alison, with some people, some friends of mine that are still in the business, and they're so afraid to do journalism because they don't want to lose their job. They're stuck. And they don't have anything else to do. They don't want to go work in a factory, and they don't want to go sling burgers at McDonald's. I got a degree in liberal arts, and in pop culture studies. So I got a news job. But that job is paying my bills. But we're talking about the fate of our country. We're talking about censorship. We're talking about all these things that we really need to preserve. But this is, I'm just going to save it because I want to go back to what I was talking about before with some interesting friends and fans of our show, or we're fans of theirs, because it's so telling. It's very telling.
Okay, well, don't forget, everybody, you can send me mail, P.O. Box 3355, Denellen, Florida, 34432. It's a great way to support the show. Send me your loose pocket change. Send me some notes of encouragement. Send me a winning lottery ticket, P.O. Box 3355, Denellen, Florida, 34432. Also, Locals is a great place to support the show, AlisonMorrow.locals.com. You get to be on the editorial board. Whenever I have guests for interviews, then you get to ask the questions. It's a great way to get me to shut up and ask whatever you want. AlisonMorrow.locals.com. And Birch Gold, if you're considering switching your IRA or 401k into precious metals, you can text Alison, ALISON, to 989898 and get your free no obligation info kit on gold and how to invest in precious metals. There are a lot of people these days who are trying to diversify their savings, their retirement, into something besides the stock market. The US dollar is taking a hit every which way. We're spending a lot of money, more money actually than any other budget item other than Social Security, on the interest for our national debt. So that's the first time in history too. If you're one of those people that wants a little bit more information about this, you've considered it, but you're not totally sure if it's for you, this is a great way to support the show and get that information. Again, Birch Gold, text Alison, ALISON, to 989898. They've been in business over 2 decades. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and they will give you all the information that you need. Okay, Bill, I want to say something. I'm going to actually do a separate video about this, but I thought this was really interesting. About like the unfriend me phenomenon is back. And I saw a former coworker of mine writing again for people to unfriend her if you're going to vote for Trump. And I'm like, I really thought we were past this era, and not even so much like past the era of like the Trump unfriending, but the era of posting on social media, like about being wanting to be unfriended. I mean, I just don't even know what to make of this anymore, really, because, and that, like, no offense to people out there who like decide to take a stand on social media and tell people to unfriend you. But it just, going back to the Zuckerberg issue, so much of how we relate with each other now, the friends that we have canceled, the people that we can't stand, you have to really question like whether those relationships would still be intact if we hadn't seen the kind of speech curation that we have seen. And that's why, like I say to people, you really got to be careful about yelling at grandma or unfriending Aunt Susie or whatever, because it's like highly likely that whatever you're getting really upset about may not even be true. And you haven't heard other opinions like Susie's. You think Aunt Susie is a racist, misogynist a-hole because, you're only seeing like a third of reality that's out there. You're not seeing that there's like a whole nother world of people who think a certain way that actually like maybe aren't so bad. You guys disagree. Maybe they're also misled too, just like you are, and everybody's just being pitted against each other.